Hi, New Mexico Highlands University. It's Samuel, and today I'm going to use the lessons that we learned from the last presentation I did about young entrepreneurship and visit one of my good friends, Jerome Williams from Okewingate. He's originally from Detroit, moved to Okewingate to start his own DJ business, and it should be very interesting. He's a New Mexico Highlands alumni too. All right, let's go. I'm here with Jerome Williams. He lives in Okewingate, New Mexico, and he's originally from Detroit, Michigan. So why don't you tell us about your business and how you got started?
So I've been DJing for about 15 years. I've always had an interest in music, and so I love listening to music. I love watching people dance and playing and producing my own music too. So I decided that I wanted to become a DJ. It's a very rewarding career. I would like to be able to pursue it full time, but at this moment I'm unable to. But I'm still very interested in seeking that.
So how did you feel moving to a different place and starting your own business? How difficult was that, and how did it influence some of your financial decisions regarding your business?
So when I moved here from Michigan, I didn't have any of my DJ equipment when I moved here. So I didn't have any equipment for about 6 months, but I was able to go out into Santa Fe and into Albuquerque and to Roswell as well, and to Las Cruces, and just to see how the music scene was. So that gave me a little bit of experience in like figuring out like the whole music dynamic throughout the state. I found it very difficult because a lot of the new music wasn't out in this area, so it took a little bit for some of the new songs to come here and for people to kind of adapt to it. But after I got my equipment and after I got to meet and social and network with people, I was able to get gigs. I've played in Roswell, which is pretty interesting. I played at an ICP rally, and I've never played in an ICP rally before. But Santa Fe is a pretty cool place. But it was a little difficult, like I said, because not knowing too many people and not knowing the local music scene.
So you talk about the local music scene. Most DJs around here play what's called norteño music and Spanish music. How difficult was it to try to, sell hip hop and R&B in the club and birthday and graduation party scenes?
It was a little difficult because I wasn't used to hearing that music, and people would ask me, "Well, can you play this artist or play this band?" And I wouldn't know what they were, and I never listened to that type of music before. And so I had to kind of, go out and seek that type of music myself and put that into my library. It's still, even though to this day, 7, 8 years later, it's still a little difficult, but it was very challenging. That part was very challenging for me musically, because that's not the type of music that I like to hear.
Yeah.
So,
and as a young entrepreneur, how rewarding has your experience been starting your own business here in New Mexico? And can you give us some of the highlights of the successes and failures that you've experienced?
So so this is not a full-time job for me. Like I said, I wish it would be, but it's a career that's definitely in high demand, especially in New Mexico, because there's not a lot of DJs in this area that have equipment like I have, or have the library like I have, or have the skills like I have as well. I've averaged, for a gig, about maybe $1,200 a gig for like 4 hours, and I've seen it as, I've also gotten a gig where it was like $200-300 for 4 hours. And so the most challenging thing for me is leaving Detroit, where I was making really good money doing it, $800-900 a gig, to coming back and people asking me, well, I only have $200-300, and that was a little challenging for me, like financially. But the rewarding part is just getting your name and recognition around the state, because people know who you are, and they're going to keep asking you to come back. So.
All right. And speaking of part-time jobs, there's been the issues of the sharing economies with stuff like Uber and several other things that young entrepreneurs are experiencing. And being a part-time entrepreneur yourself, do you see these types of industries taking off, especially as technology has bridged the gap of of the barrier to entry in a lot of these businesses?
I think that the organizations like Uber or your fly-by-nights, bed and breakfast organizations and companies like that, I think they're very creative. I think they're needed. It's capitalism, right? It's needed because you should always be evolving. If you're just playing the same stuff over and over again, people are going to be stale to the type of sound that they're listening to. So you have to evolve. There's some music that I don't care for that I still play, even though I don't want to listen to it, but people want to hear it. So you have to evolve as an entrepreneur, as a creative mind. So if you're, sitting there stale behind a desk or behind some turntables and not evolving professionally, then I think that you're working backwards.
Well,
so I support organizations that are different.
Speaking of the changing environment, since you've been DJing for quite some time now, can you explain to us how the fast adaptation of technology has changed your industry, and how the move from using CDs and tape players to the iPod has dramatically changed the barrier of entry to DJing?
Mm-hmm. So the equipment is much more money than it used to be. It's just being a turntable and a mixer, right? It's much more dynamic than that. It's hard to find records. I don't have any records. You can tell I have no records. It's all MP3 based. This turntable has CDs. I don't even have CDs. Everything is hooked up to a computer now. So there's some pros and cons to that. The pros is that it's less equipment for me to carry, right? And it's less things for people to steal. The con is that people that are not as fortunate as myself that have the money to buy this stuff, and there's a lot of creative people that will be great DJs, but they can't afford equipment like this. This turntable alone is about $2,000-$3,000 just for one. This whole setup here was almost $12,000.
You wouldn't say that the price has come down though?
No, the price has not come down because the demand is more. The demand is very popular. The highest paying DJ made almost $200-300 million. So that's just one person though.
And how does one go about obtaining rights? Has that gotten easier over the years?
I wouldn't say so. No, I think the most easy thing as far as music goes is getting independent artists to send you their stuff. It's easy. You send emails or you go to certain websites and just download from independent artists, and you can use their tracks and just mix it with popular music, which everyone wants to hear. People say that they don't listen to the radio a lot, and I don't listen to the radio a lot, but when you hear a popular song and you play it over and over again, you can tell that people that listen to radio and people that listen to independent music. So.
All right, and do you have any suggestions for anyone who'd be interested in starting their own business, and what the risks and the benefits are?
I would say my most suggestion is don't be afraid to fail. I fail all the time. A lot of entrepreneurs fail all the time. They may not admit it, or they may admit it like myself, but don't be afraid of failure, and don't be afraid to collaborate with other companies that you might think would be interesting. I started doing IT work, and I still do that on the side as well too. And I've found people that were failing as entrepreneurs, and I've collaborate with them as a failing organization, just trying to help them and help myself as well too. So I would say don't be afraid to fail and continue on, and try to get as much support from your family as well too. That's very important. So.
And one final thing, what would you say were the biggest challenges you faced as a young entrepreneur, as opposed to some people in their 40s that seem to have an easier time?
So in this field, a lot of the young kids are pretty much financially supported by their parents. Mom and dad or grandma's giving them money. I didn't have that. It was me working and saving. So I think father time for me was a challenge because I'll be 34 in a couple weeks, and a lot of the DJs nowadays are young guys that have money to buy this stuff. And so I don't think it's a failure. I just think that I could have been in this field a lot sooner than I have been.
Do you feel because you're young, you're not taken as seriously as some older people are in the business scene?
I don't think so. I don't think my age or me being young, I'm not being taken serious. I think that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment. It's I think just having access of financial means is the challenge. And I think that's for every entrepreneur.
Yeah.
If somebody hit the lottery and when they start an organization, they're gonna have failures too, and they're gonna have hardship. Maybe not financially, but maybe their marketing is not that well, or maybe their management skills are not that well. So.
Yeah, because the number one thing that a lot of young entrepreneurs say is that they have a lot of trouble on being taken seriously because they're young, and the financial stuff that you mentioned. But you're saying that over the years you've seen an improvement in the way people treat young entrepreneurs. Would you say that's attributed to people like Mark Zuckerberg, who have completely changed industries despite being in their 20s?
I believe so, but I also say that I'm not going to go to a client wearing a ACDC or WWE T-shirt and say, "Hey, I'm an entrepreneur. Do you want to come work? Can I work for you? Or can we collaborate?" You get a little professional. You have to market yourself pretty well.
So you're not a fan of Zuckerberg's hoodie?
No, I'm not gonna say that. No, he's a different type of entrepreneur. With again, a man with means, right? I mean, he came from money. He wasn't broke. Seriously, he wasn't broke. And again, that's a whole conversation, another conversation about being rich and wealthy too. So I would love to be able to be in his shoes, and tour the world and DJ and not have to worry about bills. I have bills, so I have to have another full-time job. This is just right now a hobby that could potentially be, something really lucrative for me and my family. So.
All right, so go ahead and plug your business.
All right, so my name is DJ J-Rock. You can find me on Dirty Will at Facebook, or you can find me at Dirty Will at Twitter. So, and go Cowboys!
Well, I had a wonderful time in Okewenge, but now it's time to head back home to Nambe. Thank you for watching my presentation, New Mexico Highlands University, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.